They called her the small crown temptation of the stars. The trade station drifted like a tired animal at the edge of mapped space. Its metal skin was old, scratched by years of dust and small impacts. Lights flickered in long halls where many species passed without looking at each other. This place was not important to empires. It was where forgotten routes met and where small deals were made far from proud capitals. Among the many workers on the station was a human woman named Elia. She was not tall, she was not loud. Most beings did not notice her unless they needed something simple done. She worked in a narrow signal room, watching weak transmissions that came from deep space. Her job was to mark noise, tag dead signals, and forward anything strange to higher control. It was boring work, and that was why they gave it to her. On her head, she wore a thin metal circlet. It was small, smooth, and dull in color. No gem, no light. No writing that others could read. Some thought it was decoration. Others thought it was a human mating sign. A few thought it was a joke. They laughed at it. Some traders called her the small-crowned temptation. Not with respect, but with humor. To them, she was a soft human with curious eyes and an odd piece of metal. Nothing more. Elia never answered when they said it. She listened more than she spoke. She watched patterns where others saw chaos. She had learned long ago that silence helped her survive. The signal room was quiet when the whisper arrived. At first, it looked like nothing. A thin wave buried inside normal background noise. The system marked it as trash. Elia almost approved the deletion. Almost. Her fingers stopped. The wave repeated at exact intervals, but not in machine timing. It was slightly off, like breathing. She leaned closer to the screen. Her eyes narrowed. She isolated the signal and played it again. Static filled the room. Then, beneath it, something else moved. Not sound. Not light. A rhythm. Elia felt it in her chest. She adjusted the filters, slowly, carefully. The station system complained, flashing warnings. She ignored them. Her heart beat faster as symbols began to appear, not on the screen, but in her mind. Old symbols. Human symbols. She swallowed. This was impossible. Human deep space language had been lost generations ago. No one used it. No one taught it. Yet she understood it without effort. The message was short. Routes will fall. The quiet paths will break. When the red stars dim, run. Elia pulled back from the console, breathing hard. She checked the source location. The signal came from beyond known charts, past the point where navigation beacons ended. Nothing lived there. Nothing should speak from there. She logged the signal as unstable noise, like she was trained to do. Then she copied it to a private pad and locked it behind her personal code. Outside the signal room, the station continued as normal. Cargo moved. Voices argued. Credits changed hands. No one knew that something had just spoken from the dark. Elia stood and adjusted the circlet on her head. It felt warm now, though the room was cold. She did not tell anyone. Hours passed. Then the first star lane flickered. A nearby jump route collapsed without warning. A transport ship vanished mid-jump. Alarms rang across the station. Control rooms filled with shouting in a dozen languages. No one understood what was happening. Elia watched the data scroll in. Red stars dimmed on the map. Her hands shook. She left the signal room for the first time in weeks and walked into the main control hall. Officers turned as she entered. Some looked annoyed. A tall being with silver skin raised a claw. "This area is restricted. The routes are failing in a pattern," Elia said. The room fell quiet for half a second. The silver officer laughed. "Human, this is not your task." She stepped closer to the central display. "The failures will move clockwise from the outer ring. This station will lose power support in 23 minutes. The laughter stopped. An officer checked the data. His eyes widened. "How do you know this?" he demanded. Elia did not answer. She pointed to a blinking sector. "Send evacuation orders now. Use short jumps only. Do not use the blue lane." They hesitated. Then the blue lane collapsed. Panic spread. Commands flew across the room. Ships scrambled. Docking clamps released too fast. One vessel tore its hull and drifted helplessly. Elia moved from console to console, speaking calmly. Her voice cut through the noise. "Wait. That jump is unstable. Not yet. Now." People listened. They did not know why. They only knew that when they followed her words, they lived. A watcher stood near the back of the hall, silent. His name was Taran. He was not from a powerful species, but he was observant. His eyes never left Elia. He noticed how systems responded to her presence, how delays vanished when she touched a panel. This was not chance. As the station stabilized in partial power, Elia returned to the signal room. Her legs felt weak. Her head hurt. The circlet burned against her skin. The private pad activated by itself. The signal played again, clearer now. "You heard. Good." Her breath caught. The voice was not sound. It was thought pressed gently into her mind. It did not feel hostile. It felt old, tired.
"You predicted the collapse," Elia whispered. "Yes."
"Why me? Because you are small enough to be ignored?" Anger flashed through her. People died. Fewer than would have. She closed her eyes. "What do you want?" "To warn. To wake. To test." The circlet pulsed once. Elia grabbed the edge of the desk as images flooded her thoughts. Star maps. Hidden routes. Human symbols layered beneath alien systems. She saw humanity not as weak traders and scattered colonies, but as quiet builders who had buried their work deep. She gasped and tore the circlet off her head. The images stopped. Outside the room, boots approached fast. The door slid open. Security rushed in, weapons raised. Behind them stood an officer she recognized, one who had thanked her earlier. "She is the cause," he said. "She interfered with control systems." Elia's mouth went dry. Taran watched from the hall, unseen as they took her away. As they dragged her down the corridor, the station lights flickered again. Somewhere deep in space, something old shifted and listened. And for the first time in a very long time, the stars noticed a human. The tribunal ship moved silently through the void. It was huge, older than most stations, built by a coalition of species who believed that they could judge all smaller races fairly. Its corridors were wide, sterile, and cold. Walls hummed with the energy of unseen engines. No one smiled inside. No one spoke lightly. Elia was brought to a small cell on the ship. Her hands were free, but the guards did not leave. She could hear the distant clang of metal doors and the soft murmurs of alien voices in the halls. Her heart still pounded from the chaos at the station. The images from the signal, the red stars dimming, and the deaths she had avoided played again in her mind. She wrapped her fingers around the circlet she had hidden in her coat. It seemed ordinary now, yet she felt its warmth against her skin. Minutes, or maybe hours, passed. Time moved strangely on the tribunal ship. Then the door slid open. A delegation of officials entered, their forms alien and unyielding. Some had long limbs, some scales, some fur, and one had shining crystal for a face. They surrounded her, towering over her small frame. "You are the human who predicted the collapse of the outer star lanes," said a deep voice from the crystal-faced one. Its tone was flat, but heavy with accusation. "How did you do this?" Elia looked up at them. She did not flinch, though her chest ached. "I watched," she said simply. "I noticed patterns in the signals that no one else saw. That is all." A tall being with bronze skin leaned forward. "You mean you have access to technology that predicts the future?" "I only saw the paths that would fail. Nothing more," Elia said. Her voice was quiet but calm. "I did not plan it."
"I only warned them."
The officials exchanged glances. Murmurs ran through the room in many tongues. One small creature, green and soft-bodied, hissed, "Do not lie. Humans are weak. They cannot calculate this." Elia shook her head. "I am not lying. You could check the records at the station." The crystal-faced officer tilted its head. "Records can be erased. How do we know you are not part of some conspiracy?" Elia's fingers tightened on the circlet. She did not answer. She did not need to. The crown reacted to her stress. A faint glow pulsed under the metal, subtle but undeniable. For a moment the room lights flickered. The systems of the ship shivered, as though recognizing her presence. One of the officials, an elder with gray fur and long ears, stepped forward. "It is the circlet. It is old human tech, long buried. It should not exist." Elia's mouth went dry. She had thought no one remembered the old human frameworks. Yet here it was, acknowledged. "It is not mine," she said. "I only wear it because it was given to me." "You are more than you appear," said the elder.
"You are a key. Human survivors placed silent systems across this space.
Hidden control frameworks that no one else knows. You are connected to them." Elia's mind raced. She had heard legends, whispers about humans who had built secret pathways, silent networks of influence, and ancient technology to survive. But she had never believed she would be involved. "Key to what?" she asked, her voice trembling. "To everything," the elder said. "Control of lanes, fleets, and signals. You could stop empires. You could command them." The room fell silent. Even the hissing green one did not speak. Elia felt fear. Not of them, not of the tribunals, but of the responsibility her small crown represented. She was not a ruler. She was not trained. She was just one human among billions. Yet now the ship seemed to hum in response to her presence. "Why me?" she whispered. "Because you notice what others do not," said the elder. "Because you can be ignored. Yet, act. Because humans are underestimated, and underestimated humans can survive." Before she could respond, alarms screamed across the ship. Red lights pulsed. The walls vibrated with the hum of approaching ships. Something large was moving outside. Something fast. The crystal-faced officer activated a control panel. External sensors show a fleet entering range. Unknown human design. This should not be possible. Elia's heart skipped. She knew the fleet, or at least She had seen its shadows in the signals. The fleet was old, ancient, and dangerous. It was searching for her. "They know I am here," she said quietly. "Then hide," snapped the bronze officer. "We cannot let them reach the tribunal." Elia shook her head. "Hiding will not work. They respond to the crown." Tension grew in the room. Every officer moved quickly, trying to reinforce shields, reprogram defenses, or hide critical controls. Elia stood frozen for a second, watching the glow beneath her crown grow brighter. She did not understand the mechanism. She only felt the pull of the systems around her. From the corner, Terran, who had followed her in secret from the station, spoke softly. "I have seen humans do impossible things. Trust her, or we all die." The officers looked at him as though he had grown a second head. One hissed angrily, and another growled. The fleet arrived, suddenly, not with missiles, not with bombs, but with silence. Ships jumped from the deep beyond space and aligned around the tribunal ship. Each one moved like it had been waiting for her presence, following invisible tracks that only the circlet could reveal. Elia realized with horror that the ships were human-designed, but far older than anything alive now. They were sentinels, hunters. They responded to her alone. "Everyone back," she shouted. She ran to the nearest control console. "I can redirect them."
"I can save you, but you must trust me."
The officers hesitated, but the circlet pulsed again. The lights around the room flickered and every system froze for a heartbeat. They saw it then. The faint overlay of human symbols glowing across the consoles, paths that no alien had mapped. Elia's voice grew stronger. "Follow my commands."
If you hesitate, we die. For a long moment, nothing happened.
Then slowly, systems obeyed. Doors locked in precise sequences. Shields powered in unexpected patterns. Ships outside shifted, following invisible lanes she could sense but not fully explain. The crystal-faced officer stepped back. "Impossible! You are bending systems without touching them." "I am not bending," Elia said, gasping for air. "I am only guiding." Taryn's voice echoed again. "Humans have waited for this. You are the bridge between what was and what must be." Elia's chest tightened. She had never wanted power. She had never wanted attention. She had wanted quiet, small tasks, and survival. Yet here she was, the center of a storm she had barely begun to understand. Outside, the fleet moved closer. Elia realized that if she miscalculated, everyone on the tribunal ship would be destroyed. She traced the invisible paths with her mind, feeling each ship, each engine pulse, each hidden corridor of influence. It was exhausting. It hurt. But she continued. "Prepare for engagement," she said to the officers, though she knew they did not understand what engagement meant. "Do exactly as I say." Minutes passed, or maybe seconds. Time had no meaning in the center of her focus. Then, suddenly, one of the hunter ships misaligned. It fired a pulse at the tribunal. The pulse hit shields at an angle they had not expected. Explosions rippled across the hull. Alarms screamed. Elia's hands flew over the consoles, moving with precision she did not feel. Her voice called commands faster than speech. She felt the circlet warm, glowing, almost singing. Ships moved. Systems adjusted. The pulse bounced harmlessly into the void. The tribunal officers stared in disbelief. "How?" whispered the elder.
I guided them, Elia said simply. I did not fight.
"I did not aim. I only gave direction." A new voice came through the room. It was soft, almost in her mind again.
You are ready for more?
Elia froze. The crown burned on her head. She had not spoken to the signal in hours. How did it know she was here? The bronze officer moved closer. This is dangerous. If the fleet knows your location, they will destroy us. They already know, she said quietly. They are following me, not you, not anyone else, only me. The tribunal fell silent. Then the crystal-faced officer said, "Then the question is, will you cooperate, or will we all die?" Elia's gaze hardened. I will not cooperate with fear. I will not obey anyone who does not trust me. But I will protect this ship and everyone on it. Even you. Outside, the hunter ships shifted in perfect formation, one by one. They mirrored her commands. Systems across the tribunal ship synchronized. The fleet hesitated, as though sensing her intent. Elia realized she had become something she never expected. Not a ruler, not a commander, but a human at the center of systems older than the station, older than the fleets, older than anyone on the tribunal could imagine. And they were all watching her. The tribunal ship drifted deeper into the void, moving away from the last trace of human colonies that might recognize her. Elia sat alone in a small chamber, her hands wrapped around the circlet. It was heavier than it should have been, not in weight, but in presence. It hummed softly, almost like a heartbeat, as though alive. She had barely slept since the fleet arrived, guiding it, bending systems without touching them. Her mind ached from the effort. The doors slid open suddenly, and two beings entered. One was tall, with copper-colored skin and eyes like burning coals. The other was short, round, and covered in soft silver fur. Both carried devices that glowed with blue light, scanning the room. "You have done something no human should," said the tall one. Its voice rumbled like distant thunder. "The fleet obeys you. The systems bend at your will. How is this possible?" "I do not know," Elia whispered. "I only followed what I saw in the signals. The crown, it shows me paths." The copper-skinned being stepped closer, almost touching her. "The crown is not jewelry. It is technology, old human frameworks, hidden commands, silent control structures built to survive empires. You wear a key. You are more than you appear." Elia shivered. She had feared recognition, but not this. "I am small. I am not powerful. I am just human. I do not know how to command fleets or empires. Humans have always survived by being underestimated," said the silver-furred one. "And underestimated humans are dangerous." Elia closed her eyes. Her mind drifted back to the signals, the ones no one else noticed. They had warned her of collapse. They had warned her of the fleet. Now, everything she had learned, everything she had seen in hidden patterns, had led to this moment. Outside, alarms rang. The fleet moved again, silent and precise. The ships aligned in formations no alien mind had ever imagined. Elia could feel their pulse, the vibration of their engines through the crown. She did not need to touch controls. She only focused, and the ships responded. The tribunal officers began to panic. Their orders clashed with hers. Some tried to override her guidance. Others tried to flee. The copper-skinned officer growled. "Stop interfering. We control this ship." "You are not controlling it," Elia said. "I am. And if you do not follow my instructions, we all die." Her voice was small, but it carried across the room. Systems aligned to her thought, locks clicked, doors sealed, shields shimmered. The fleet outside hesitated as if sensing the change. One officer, small and green-skinned, hissed angrily, "You are manipulating technology without authority. This is forbidden." Elia looked at it and said softly, "Authority does not matter. Survival does." Hours passed. She guided the fleet, nudged the tribunal ship, and prevented disaster. Each action drained her, but she could not stop. The crown pulsed, warm against her temples, like it was feeding on her focus. Then the ship trembled. A pulse wave from the unknown fleet struck the outer hull. Systems blinked, lights faltered. Elia leaned over the console, her hands shaking. She traced the invisible lines, recalculated, and redirected the pulse harmlessly into space. The ship shuddered but held. The tribunal officers stared, speechless. The elder, gray-furred and with long ears, muttered, "This human bends reality with old codes we do not understand." Elia's lips pressed together. She did not like praise. She only wanted quiet. She only wanted understanding. But no one understood. From the shadows, Taran emerged. He had come from the station, silently following her. "Do you realize what you have done?" he asked. "You are no longer just a human among them. You are a force. You have awakened something they cannot contain." Elia looked at him. "I did not ask for this. I am not a warrior or a leader. I only noticed what others ignored." Taran smiled faintly. "That is exactly why you are dangerous. That is why they fear you. That is why the fleet follows you. Because no one else saw it coming. No one else could act. But you did." Her mind raced. The crown pulsed, and she felt the fleet's engines like a tide beneath her skin. She could hear the signals again, faintly, in the back of her mind. They were alive, whispering old human words. Paths that had been hidden for generations opened before her mental eye. Suddenly the doors to her chamber burst open. A team of guards entered, armed and moving fast. They had devices to suppress electronic signals. Their leader, a tall alien with jagged horns, stepped forward. "You are being taken to secure confinement," he said. "No more interference."
"You will answer our questions." Elia shook her head. "If you touch me, if you try to stop me, you will trigger systems you do not understand."
"Do not underestimate humans." The horned officer laughed. "Small human. Threats do not scare us. You cannot control us." Elia's pulse quickened. She focused on the fleet outside. The crown glowed hotter. Lights flickered. Systems hummed and buzzed. Then, without touching a console, the chamber door locked from the outside and the guards froze. Their devices shut down. The horned officer's eyes widened. "Impossible. You think humans are weak?" Elia said softly. "You do not understand survival. You do not understand patience. You do not understand what we leave behind." The horned officer stumbled back as systems hummed in resonance with the crown. Monitors around the room displayed symbols no one could read. Ancient human designs appeared across screens, paths for fleets, hidden nodes of power, signals no one alive had decoded in centuries. Alia's head ached, but she kept focus. She could feel the tribunal ship responding to her intent. She could see each route of escape, each hidden corridor, each weak point the unknown fleet might exploit. She was not moving ships directly, but guiding them, aligning them, protecting everyone aboard. Minutes, or maybe hours, passed. The horned officer fell silent, his devices useless. The crown pulsed in steady rhythm, like a heartbeat. Elia's mind connected to the fleet outside, and she realized something terrifying. The fleet was not just following her commands. It was tracking her. Every movement she made, every signal she sent, every thought she focused on. The fleet knew. They knew her location. They were ancient. They were relentless. And they were human.
You are hunted, Taran whispered. Every move you make, they will respond.
Elia swallowed. She had feared detection, but this was beyond fear. This was inevitability. She had no allies in space, only this crown and the instincts buried in her human mind. The green-skinned officer, still trembling, said, "You cannot hide from them. They are everywhere." Elia shook her head. "I am not hiding. I will not hide. I will guide us out alive, or die trying. But I will not submit to fear." The horned officer stepped back, realizing the truth. They could not stop her. She was the bridge between the hidden human paths and the fleets moving through the void. The crown was not a decoration. It was a key. And she was the key holder. Then the signal came again, not through consoles, not through speakers. It entered her mind. Clear, direct. They are watching. You are the target. You are the temptation. They call you the small crowned one of the stars. Protect yourself. Protect them. You will choose soon. Elia closed her eyes, clutching the circlet. Her heart pounded, but her voice was steady. I will protect them. All of them. Even if it kills me. Outside, the hunter fleet shifted in perfect alignment. Ships moved with precise coordination, not attacking yet, only observing. It was a test. It was a warning. And the tribunal officers did not understand. They only saw a small human with a simple metal crown, who had bent their ancient systems and controlled a fleet with thought alone. Some of them were terrified. Some were amazed. Elia realized that nothing would ever be the same. She was no longer just a signal clerk on a distant station. She was a force in space, a human they could not ignore, and a key to ancient networks of survival and power. And she understood one thing clearly. The moment she used the crown, the hunters learned her location. Every action had consequences. Every move she made would be watched. Every choice she took could lead to salvation or destruction. Taran stepped closer. You cannot stop now. You must move. They will not wait. Elia nodded. Her hands tightened on the circlet. Her small crown glowed warmly. She did not know the next step. She only knew she had to act. The unknown fleet outside shifted again, not attacking, but aligning, waiting, watching. Elia whispered to herself, I am human, and we survive. Then, taking a deep breath, she stepped out of her chamber. The tribunal ship would either be saved or fall. She did not know. She only knew one thing. She would face what came, and she would not hide. The stars were watching, and for the first time, they noticed a human. The stars stretched endlessly outside the tribunal ship, silent and cold. The unknown fleet moved like a shadow along the edges of space, following her presence. Elia stood on the bridge, her small crown pulsing softly against her temple. She had guided the ship through collapse, prevented destruction, and bent ancient systems with thought alone. But now a new challenge had arrived. The fleet was closing, faster than any human calculation could predict. Yet it did not fire. Its ships were perfect, smooth, and silent. Every movement was deliberate, as if it had been waiting centuries for her to awaken. Elia's chest tightened. She had realized something before the tribunal officers had. These were not merely hunters. They were not enemies who sought destruction. They were predators hunting a key. And she was that key. Taran stood beside her. His eyes scanned the displays. They know the crown. They know you. Every move you make, they react, but they do not attack yet. That means something? I do not understand, Elia said. Why are they not firing? They are waiting to test you, Taran said. Waiting to see what you do. The crown signals your choices to them. They respond. They are ancient, older than these tribunals. Humans built them as guardians long ago, but now they have awakened because of you. Elia swallowed. I did not ask to awaken them. No one ever asks, Taran said quietly. The tribunal officers still on the bridge shifted uneasily. They had begun to see the truth. Their controls no longer controlled the ship entirely. The crown's subtle influence pulsed through systems they barely understood. They were passengers now, under the guidance of a small human they had once dismissed. The bronze-skinned officer stepped forward. This is unacceptable. We are in command here. We cannot let a human dictate our actions. Elia looked at him. Her voice was calm but firm. Command is meaningless if we die. If you follow my instructions, you live. If you ignore me, you die. The choice is yours, but it is real. You will not survive by fear.
You will survive by action. The officer stared, unsure.
Even the crystal-faced being and the gray-furred elder fell silent. They had never seen such authority come from a human so small, so quiet, and so underestimated. The crown pulsed brighter. A low hum filled the room. Elia closed her eyes, tracing invisible lanes in her mind. She could see every ship in the unknown fleet, every weak point in the tribunal ship, and every hidden pathway in the surrounding star systems. Ancient human systems opened before her, like maps on a table. She realized then that she had a choice. She could use the crown to dominate, to control the fleet, and to force obedience. Or she could guide without domination, letting the ships respond naturally to her intent. She shivered at the weight of it. Suddenly, a signal came through, direct and clear in her mind. The voice was old, ancient, human, yet not human. They are your test. Protect them or perish. Every choice will be observed. Elia swallowed and took a deep breath. She focused on the fleet. Slowly, carefully, she nudged their paths, not to attack, not to dominate, but to align them with the tribunal ship's movement. She felt the engines, the shields, the invisible threads of energy. Outside, the fleet shifted. It obeyed her intent, not her words. She could see it in the patterns of light, the faint pulses in space, the alignment of weapons and shields. They were listening, responding, waiting for her to act. The horned officer, still uneasy, muttered, "She is guiding them. Not through systems we know, not through commands, but through thought?" "Yes," Taran said quietly. "Humans left things behind that no one else could understand. We thought they were weak. But the weakest often survive." The unknown fleet edged closer. One of its ships aligned directly with the tribunal ship. A pulse of energy radiated outward, striking the shields. The tribunal ship shuddered. Systems flickered, lights dimmed. Elia's hands flew over the consoles, but she did not rely on them. She let the crown guide her mind. Paths opened. Energy flowed. The pulse was diverted harmlessly into space. The tribunal officer stared, speechless. "You are bending reality," the crystal-faced officer whispered. "A human bending reality with thought alone." Elia shook her head. "Not bending, guiding."
Only guiding. Minutes passed.
Or maybe hours. She did not know. She only knew the fleet was testing her, observing her, learning her patterns. And she understood one terrible truth. If she made a mistake, everyone aboard would die. Then the doors to the bridge hissed open. 2 beings entered. Pilots, fast-moving, familiar. One was a young human man named Rin, quick and clever, and the other a quiet engineer named Vale, with hands that could repair anything. "Thought we might find you here," Rin said, smiling faintly. "You look like you need help." Elia turned, relief mixed with tension. "You know the fleet?" Val nodded. "We know. They respond to you. They always have. They follow the crown." Rin frowned. "And if they catch you unprotected?" Elia shook her head. "Then we die. I have to act. And you help." They moved together to the side consoles. Rhine managed navigation. Vale assisted in stabilizing shields and engines. Elia let the crown guide the invisible threads. Slowly, steadily, the tribunal ship moved through the void, avoiding the fleet's traps, evading pulses that could shred the hull, and using hidden lanes no one else could see. The horned officer finally spoke. "This is impossible. No human should control this. No human should survive this." Elia looked at him. "Humans survive by seeing what others ignore, by patience, by waiting, by moving when no one expects it." Outside, the fleet adjusted again. They were not attacking, not yet. They were learning her mind, tracing her intent, mapping her responses. She felt it like a pressure on her brain, but she held. Then came the moment of decision. A section of the fleet broke formation, moving to cut off the tribunal ship. Elia saw it in her mind before it happened. She traced new paths through hidden lanes. Her hands flew over the controls for confirmation, but her thought guided the energy. The blocked ship slowed, then adjusted. They passed the tribunal ship harmlessly. The crown pulsed brightly. She felt exhausted, almost faint. Taryn stepped beside her. "You did it, but they are still learning. They will not give up." Elia nodded. "I know. Every time I act, they observe. Every choice I make, they adapt." Vale whispered, "Then what do we do next?" Elia's small hands clenched the circlet. "We survive, that is all. We protect the ship, and we prepare for the moment they decide to strike." Hours passed, or maybe minutes. She did not know. Time had no meaning in this dance with the ancient fleet. Systems hummed, lights flickered, shields glimmered. The tribunal officers watched in awe and fear. The green-skinned officer muttered, "I have never seen anything like this." A human, guiding death and survival at once. Elia's voice was quiet, steady. "Do not call it power. Call it survival. Call it understanding. Humans have always survived by noticing what others do not, by being underestimated, by acting when others hesitate." Outside, the unknown fleet aligned once more. The pulse of their engines vibrated through the hull, through the crown. through her mind. They were waiting, watching, testing. Elia closed her eyes. She could feel their thoughts like shadows, the anticipation, the quiet hunger to see her falter. But she did not falter. "I am human," she whispered, "and humans survive." Taryn smiled faintly. "Yes, and now the real challenge begins." The crown pulsed again. The fleet shifted, and the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath, waiting to see what a small human with a small crown could do next. The unknown fleet was patient. The tribunal officers were frightened. The ship was alive with systems both alien and human, and in the center of it all stood Elia, a human, small, unseen, unappreciated, but more dangerous than anyone could imagine. And the stars knew it. The tribunal ship drifted through dark space, moving toward a system that had long been abandoned by all known races. Elia stood on the bridge, the crown resting lightly on her head, warm and pulsing with quiet energy. She had survived the first encounter with the unknown fleet, guided it, and kept the ship intact. But she knew the real challenge was ahead. She could feel it deep in her bones. Taryn stood beside her, watching her closely. "We cannot run forever," he said. "The fleet is learning. It adapts. Every action you take, it watches, it studies, it prepares." Elia nodded. "I know. But running is not the solution either. We need a place to think, a place to plan, and a place where I can understand the crown's full potential." Vale, the quiet engineer, spoke from the side. "There is an old human archive in the dead star system nearby. It was hidden long ago. Some humans believed it was lost forever. If the crown responds to you, it may guide us there." Elia's eyes narrowed. "A hidden human archive? In a dead star?" Rin, the quick-thinking pilot, nodded.
Yes, it's dangerous to get there.
"No life support, no defenses, nothing that can protect us. But if anyone can use the crown to navigate it, it's you." Elia swallowed. She had survived so much already, yet every step forward seemed heavier than the last. She had guided a fleet, protected a tribunal ship, and managed systems older than anyone alive. Now she was being asked to risk everything to enter a place designed to hide the greatest secrets of humanity. "We have no choice," Elia said. Her voice was steady, but inside she trembled. "The fleet will not stop. If we do not move forward, they will surround us, and we will be destroyed." The tribunal officers muttered among themselves. They had long ago stopped trying to command the ship. They were passengers now, watching a human take control in ways they could not understand. The dead star system loomed ahead. Its core was silent, dark, and cold. The ship moved cautiously, guided by Elia's mind and the subtle influence of the crown. As they approached, she felt the presence of the archive, a faint vibration in space, almost like a heartbeat. The crown pulsed more strongly, resonating with the hidden human technology buried deep within the star. "We're close," Vale said softly. "The archive is here, but it will not be easy to access. Systems will challenge you. Tests will appear. This place was built to protect itself from anyone who did not understand the crown." Elia took a deep breath. She could feel the crown warming her head. She closed her eyes and focused. Paths opened in her mind. Invisible corridors appeared, lined with ancient signals that no living being had seen in centuries. The ship followed her mental guidance, weaving through debris, energy pockets, and old defense fields. Suddenly, a pulse wave erupted from the dead star. Energy ripped across the ship, shaking it violently. Alarms screamed. The fleet outside had caught her signal and was moving in again.
Elia, Rin shouted. They're closing in.
You need to move faster. She did not answer immediately. Instead, she traced the invisible paths in her mind, sensing the old human systems embedded in the star. The pulse was not random. It was a test, a challenge. She guided the ship carefully, redirecting the energy harmlessly, and moved closer to the archive's entrance. The crown pulsed brighter than ever. She felt its full weight now. It was not just a key. It was a network, a control framework that could unlock entire fleets, entire systems, entire civilizations. She shivered. If she used it fully, she could end wars, collapse empires, or rewrite authority across the stars. The thought terrified her. She did not want power. She did not want to rule. She only wanted to survive, to understand, to protect. But the crown was alive in a way she had never felt, and it responded to intent, to purpose. It could not be ignored. The ship moved into the archive's threshold. A shimmering wall of energy blocked the path. Symbols, old human symbols, floated in the void. They shifted and changed as she approached. You have to focus, Val said quietly. The archive will not open for anyone else. Only the crown holder can unlock it. Elia stepped forward. She reached out, though she did not touch the symbols. Her mind traced their patterns. Slowly, carefully, she aligned her intent with the archive. The symbols shimmered, then began to fade. The wall dissolved. The path opened. Inside, the archive was dark, vast, and empty, or so it seemed. Energy hummed beneath the surface, ancient and powerful. Holographic maps flickered into life, displaying fleets, systems, and signals hidden from every living species. The crown pulsed, resonating with the archive's core. "This is incredible," Rhine whispered. "All the hidden human networks, everything they left behind." Elia felt a strange mix of awe and fear. She understood now why humans had been underestimated. They had built survival into the bones of space itself. Silent, invisible, powerful. And she was the first to awaken it in centuries. Vale stepped forward, touching a console. "We could use this. We could control fleets, systems, entire regions. We could end threats before they even appear." Elia shook her head. "No. That is not why we are here. The archive exists to guide and protect, not to dominate. Control without trust destroys everything it touches. We cannot be tyrants." Rin frowned. "But the fleet outside is waiting. They won't give us time to be cautious. They'll strike." Elia closed her eyes, letting the crown's energy flow through her mind. She could feel the fleet now, not as enemies, but as a test. They were learning her, following her, but they could also be guided. She traced paths through the archive systems, weaving the unknown fleet into patterns of survival rather than destruction. Outside, the ships shifted. Pulses of energy were redirected harmlessly. Shields aligned. Engines moved in perfect coordination. Every move she made protected the tribunal ship and her companions. Taryn watched her quietly. "You are stronger than you know." Humans always survive because they notice what others ignore, because they act when others hesitate, because they are underestimated. Elia's lips pressed together. Elia's lips pressed together. She felt exhaustion creeping in, but she ignored it. She could not stop. The Crown's influence demanded focus, and the fleet waited for any mistake. One wrong move, and everyone aboard the tribunal ship would die. Then, a new thought struck her. The Crown did more than protect. It could awaken sleeper systems across the stars, long-hidden networks humans had left behind. She realized that each time she used it, humans everywhere, even those long thought extinct or scattered, could respond. The responsibility weighed on her. She did not want to awaken humanity fully. She did not want to return to an empire or rule. She only wanted to live quietly, yet she understood now that humans had never truly hidden. They had waited, and she had awakened the first ripple of their return. Rin broke the silence. What do we do now? Elia looked at him, then at Val, then at Taryn, and finally at the glowing crown. We protect the archive. We guide the fleet. We survive, and we prepare for the moment they attack. The crown cannot be used for domination, only for survival and guidance. Vale nodded. Then we follow your lead. Elia took a deep breath. She felt the crown pulse against her head, warming her, resonating with the hidden systems, with the fleet outside, with the silent human networks buried across the stars. She felt a quiet pride, not in power, but in survival, in understanding, in humanity. Outside, the unknown fleet shifted again. They were waiting, watching, learning. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. Elia whispered softly, "We will survive. That is all we need to do." And for the first time she felt the crown's true weight, not as a weapon, not as a tool of control, but as a key to humanity's survival. She had survived chaos, collapse, and observation. She had guided fleets with thought alone. She had faced systems older than she could imagine, and now she realized the real challenge had just begun. The dead star system was silent, vast, and empty. The archive hummed quietly, its hidden power pulsing beneath layers of ancient human energy. Elia stood on the bridge of the tribunal ship, the crown glowing softly on her head. She had guided the fleet, protected her companions, and unlocked secrets older than any living species. Now the final moment had arrived. Taryn, standing beside her, watched the displays quietly. "They are surrounding us," he said. "The unknown fleet has realized the archive is open. They are moving to strike. If you falter now, the ship will be destroyed, and we with it." Elia swallowed. She felt the weight of the crown heavier than ever. Its warmth pulsed against her temples, feeding on her focus and intent. She had survived tests, collapsed star lanes, and ancient fleets. Now she faced the culmination of everything she had done. Rhine at the side console looked up at her. "What do we do?" he asked. "They will attack. We cannot outrun them forever." Elia shook her head. "We will not run. Running is no longer an option. We survive by guiding, not hiding. The crown can awaken systems beyond this ship. Human systems. Long-hidden networks. We will use them, not to dominate, but to defend, to create paths for survival." Vale, quiet as ever, nodded. "Then we do it. We follow you." Elia's small hands pressed against the consoles. But she did not rely on them. The crown pulsed, linking her mind to the ancient networks embedded across space. Hidden pathways lit up in her mind like invisible roads. Sleeper systems, long dormant, stirred in response to her presence. Human ships, human fleets, automated systems designed to protect, activated silently in distant sectors. The unknown fleet outside shifted. They had come to hunt, to destroy, to test her. But now, unknowingly, they triggered humanity's silent defenses. Ships long thought lost or forgotten moved through space, guided by her intent. They did not fight for power. They fought for survival. Elia felt exhaustion gnaw at her, but she did not stop. Every movement of the tribunal ship, every adjustment of shields, every redirection of energy pulses was coordinated through her mind. She was not commanding fleets. She was guiding them. She was the center of a network that had been waiting for centuries for someone like her. The horned officer, still on the bridge, muttered, "Impossible. How can a human do this?" Elia shook her head. Humans survive by noticing what others do not, by waiting, by acting when no one expects it, by being underestimated. Outside, the unknown fleet hesitated. They had followed her for hours, studying her, tracking her, learning her patterns. But they had not expected this. They had not expected humans to awaken, to respond, to survive with patience and precision, older than any living species. Taran leaned close. "You are doing it. But remember, every use of the crown reveals your location. You cannot stay here forever. You have to choose." Elia's mind raced. She understood now the true power of the crown. She could collapse empires. She could rewrite control systems across fleets. She could dominate, force obedience, and rule. But that was not what she wanted. She did not want power. She wanted survival. She wanted trust. She wanted humans to return on their own terms, quietly, without tyranny. The unknown fleet edged closer. A pulse wave erupted, striking the tribunal ship's shields with immense force. Lights flickered. Alarms screamed. Elia felt the vibration in her chest, in her mind, through the crown. She traced invisible lanes, guiding energy harmlessly away, aligning the ship's shields and engines perfectly with the pulse. Rin shouted, "It's too close!"
We can't hold them off much longer. Elia did not panic. She felt the crown, the archive, the human networks, and the tribunal ship as one system.
Every action became instinct, every choice precise. Sleeper systems across nearby sectors activated, creating barriers, blocking jumps, redirecting energy flows. The fleet outside adjusted, confused, unprepared for this coordinated resistance. "Now," she whispered to herself, "now we survive." The crown pulsed brightly. Human networks lit up across the stars. Systems long dormant hung to life. Fleets awakened, defenses triggered, pathways opened. The unknown fleet faltered, unsure of which threats were real and which were guided illusions. Elia's small voice cut through the chaos. "Protect the ship, protect the archive, protect each other." Every movement, every adjustment, every redirection of energy and force flowed from her mind through the crown. The unknown fleet, powerful and ancient, could not overwhelm her. They responded to her intent, not her commands. They could not anticipate the coordination of centuries-old human design, awakened at the perfect moment. The tribunal officers watched in awe and fear. They had never seen such skill, such control, such understanding. A small human, underestimated, untrained, guiding fleets and systems without lifting a weapon. The green-skinned officer muttered, "I have never seen anything like this." The human. She survives everything. Elia felt the crown's energy settle. The immediate danger passed. The unknown fleet began to retreat, not destroyed, but aware that this human was no ordinary being, that she was something else, something dangerous, something patient, something alive in ways they could not comprehend. She removed the crown from her head, slowly, carefully. The glow faded, leaving only warmth in her palms. The tribunal ship floated in silence, battered but intact. The archive hummed quietly, safe once more. Human networks lay dormant again, ready for the next awakening, waiting for the right time. Ryan exhaled, relief heavy in his voice. "We made it. I can't believe we made it." Vale nodded, quietly examining the systems. "The crown is incredible, but we need to be careful. Every use reveals her location."
We cannot keep doing this.
Elia looked out at the stars. She did not speak immediately. Her mind was calm now, though still tired from the effort. "We survived," she said softly. "That is all that matters." Taryn stepped beside her. "And more than that, you proved something."
Humans were never weak. We were underestimated.
"We survived because we waited, because we observed, because we acted when no one else could. And now you have reminded everyone of that." Elia shook her head. "I am not a ruler. I am not a commander. I am just human, and I want to remain just that." The tribunal officers, still present, exchanged glances. Some feared her. Some admired her. All understood that they had witnessed something extraordinary. A small human with a simple crown had bent fleets, awakened networks, and survived where others would have fallen. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, silent witnesses to her actions. The unknown fleet had retreated, but the memory of this human, of her crown, would remain in their minds forever. Elia turned back to the archive. She did not take the crown again. It had served its purpose. It was not a tool for domination. It was a key for survival, for guidance, for awakening when the time was right. She placed it carefully on a pedestal in the archive. "This is where it belongs," she said. "Not in my hands, not to control."
Only to protect humanity when it is ready. Ryan and Vale nodded.
"It will wait," Ryan said, "and so will we." Taran smiled faintly. "Humans have survived this long because of choices like that. You understand what many forget. Power is dangerous, survival is essential, and you proved that small humans can change the course of stars." Elia took a deep breath. She felt relief, exhaustion, and quiet pride. Not for power, not for recognition, but for survival, for humanity, for doing the right thing. The tribunal ship turned, ready to leave the dead star system. The unknown fleet had retreated beyond sensors. Human networks rested, ready to awaken again if needed. Elia removed the circlet, letting it rest quietly. She felt small, ordinary, and yet, for the first time, she felt entirely herself. She had survived collapse, chaos, and observation. She had guided fleets, awakened hidden systems, and proven that humans were never weak. Rin smiled at her. "So what now?" Elia looked out at the stars, endless and silent. "We live. We survive. We watch, and we remember that humans always endure. Not because we rule, not because we fight, but because we notice, we wait, and we act when no one expects it." Terran nodded. "And the legend will spread. The crown will wait, and humans will rise again, quietly, patiently, and wisely. Elia stepped away from the pedestal. She did not need to wear the crown. She had proved herself, not through power, but through action, patience, and understanding. Humans had survived, and now she had shown that even the smallest human, with courage and wisdom, could change the stars. Outside, the stars shone silently, witnesses to a human who had faced fleets, chaos, and ancient systems. She had survived. She had guided. She had endured. And across space the phrase spread quietly as humans and aliens alike began to whisper it. They called her the small crowned temptation of the stars. Not because she ruled, not because she dominated, but because she proved that humanity never needed to. Elia stepped out onto the observation deck. The stars stretched forever. She smiled faintly. Humans survived, and that was enough.